What if your brain is wrong about you? Not about small things, about who you trust, what you believe, how you see yourself. 10 biases running your decisions every single day, and you probably never saw them coming. Dunning-Kruger Effect. The less someone knows about something, the more confident they sound about it. That's literally the whole thing. And when you say it out loud, it seems obvious. But look at where you actually see this. The loudest voice in the room usually knows the least. The person online with the strongest opinions tends to have the most surface-level understanding. Meanwhile, actual experts hesitate. They say things like, "It depends," or "It's more complicated than that," because the more you truly know, the more clearly you can see how much you still don't. Here's the uncomfortable part, though. Most of us have been that overconfident person at some point. I know I have. Confirmation bias. Your brain is constantly searching for information that confirms what you already believe, not challenging it, just confirming it. You scroll past the article that disagrees with you and click on the one that lines up with what you already think. You remember the friend who supported your decision. You kind of forget the three who warned you about it. What makes this tricky is that it doesn't feel like bias in the moment. It just feels like being right. But here's something worth sitting with. Two people can look at the exact same facts and walk away with completely opposite conclusions, both completely convinced they were being logical. So, honestly, how good are you at actually changing your mind when the evidence shifts? Drop your real answer in the comments. I think most people surprise themselves. Negativity bias. Your brain gives significantly more weight to bad experiences than good ones, and not slightly more. Research suggests a negative event can feel up to 5 times stronger than a positive one of the same size. So you get 10 encouraging messages and 1 harsh comment. And which one are you still thinking about before you go to sleep? Exactly. But here's the thing. This isn't a character flaw. It's ancient. For a very long time, remembering threats was a survival skill. Your brain needed to track danger far more carefully than pleasure. The problem is that in everyday, modern life, that same system keeps amplifying the bad stuff, even when you're surrounded by good things that should feel bigger. Halo effect. When you notice something impressive about a person, their appearance, their confidence, the way they carry themselves, your brain quietly decides everything else about them must also be good. No evidence required. It just fills in the blanks. This is why attractive candidates tend to perform better in job interviews even when their qualifications are identical. Why the confident, well-spoken person in the room gets treated as the most knowledgeable one. And it runs in reverse too. A bad first impression can subtly color how you see someone for years. Just one trait. That's all it takes for your brain to paint the whole picture. Next time you feel a strong, instant reaction to someone, positive or negative, it might be worth asking yourself what that reaction is actually built on. If this is landing for you, a quick like on the video really does help other people find it. Availability bias. Your brain estimates how likely something is based on how easily it comes to mind, not how often it actually happens, just how vivid and recent the memory is. So after a news story covers a plane incident, flying suddenly feels genuinely risky, even though driving is statistically far more dangerous. After crime dominates your social feed for a week, everywhere starts feeling unsafe. But what's actually happening is simpler than it looks. Your brain isn't running numbers, it's running on memories. And the more emotional or recent a memory is, the more it gets treated as a signal of what's normal and probable. Sunk cost fallacy. You've done this. I've done this. Everyone has done this. You sit through a terrible movie because you already paid for the ticket. You stay in a job that's draining you because you've already put years into it. You hold on to a struggling investment because walking away feels like making the loss permanent. That pull is the sunk cost fallacy. And the hard truth is this: what you've already put in is gone. It doesn't come back whether you stay or leave. The only question that actually matters is whether the next step makes sense on its own terms. Your brain makes this shift incredibly difficult, but letting go of the past cost is genuinely one of the most logical things you can do. Survivorship bias. This one changes how you think about success stories. When people say to study what successful entrepreneurs did and replicate it, they're accidentally leaving out the most important part of the data: the thousands of people who followed the exact same path and still didn't make it. Those people aren't giving interviews. They're not on podcasts or bestseller lists. They didn't last long enough for their story to get told. So the picture of success you're working from is already filtered. It's built entirely from the people still around to share it. That's what makes success look more predictable than it actually is. Next time someone tells you to just do what successful people did, it's worth asking, what happened to all the people who did that exact same thing and still didn't get there? Optimism bias. Most people genuinely believe that bad things are statistically less likely to happen to them than to other people. Setbacks, accidents, health challenges, somehow the brain quietly says, probably not me. And here's the twist: this isn't entirely a problem. People with a stronger optimism bias tend to take more risks, recover faster from failure, and stay motivated through setbacks longer. So in some ways, your brain's tendency to assume things will work out is actually working in your favor, but it also means people underestimate real risks, skip planning for rough patches, and get caught off guard when reality doesn't match the version their brain had already mapped out. The brain defaults to optimism. Sometimes that's genuinely useful. Sometimes it leaves you completely unprepared for something you saw coming but convinced yourself wouldn't happen. Recency bias. Whatever happened most recently, your brain starts treating it as the new normal. The market had a rough week and suddenly it feels like it's always rough. You had a few really good days and suddenly everything seems like it's turning around for good. It's not that recent events don't matter, they absolutely do. It's that your brain gives them far too much weight compared to everything else you know. This is why one bad week can make someone feel like they'll never recover, and why a short streak of good luck makes someone feel like they genuinely can't lose. Your brain grabs the most recent data point and builds an entire story around it. It's fast, it's automatic, and it's usually at least a little off. Authority bias. When someone has a title, a credential, or a role that signals expertise, your brain tends to accept what they say without much critical thought. A doctor, a professor, a senior executive, their words carry weight automatically before you've even evaluated what they're actually saying. And a lot of the time, that makes sense. Expertise is real and it genuinely matters. But this becomes a different kind of problem when we stop applying our own judgment entirely. Studies have shown that people will follow clearly incorrect instructions simply because they came from someone who appeared to be in charge. The bias isn't about trust. Trust is important and often the right call. It's about the specific moment we hand our thinking over to someone else just because they have a title. Authority and accuracy are not the same thing, and remembering that tends to matter more than most people expect. If this video made you think, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe and hit the bell if you want more content like this. It genuinely means a lot when the right people find these videos.